Faith. Faith. You know, I'm Irish. I'm Catholic. The church has been a big part of my life. At 71 years old, Pierce Brosnan just made an announcement that nobody saw coming. The man who once played James Bond, the world's toughest spy, is now preparing for the worst. His first wife died of ovarian cancer at just 43 years old. Then his daughter died of the exact same disease at 41. Now something has happened that is forcing him to face his deepest fear. The man who saved the world on screen is dealing with a battle he cannot win. And what he's planning to do next has everyone worried. Pierce Brosnan was born on May 16, 1953 in Drogheda, Ireland. He didn't come into the world with much. No wealth, no family legacy, and as it turned out, no father. His dad, a carpenter named Thomas, disappeared so early in Pierce's life that he couldn't remember his face, his voice, or even his presence. It was like he had vanished into thin air. His mother, May, was left to carry the weight alone. She worked as a nurse, holding together a life that had already begun to fall apart. But in 1957, she made a painful choice. She left for London to find work, leaving 4-year-old Pierce behind in Ireland. She had no other option. Still, that decision created another hole in Pierce's young world. What was meant to be a short separation turned into 7 long years. During that time, he was passed around between relatives, first with his grandparents in Navan, then with an uncle and aunt in Trim. Each new house came with new rules, new schools, and unfamiliar faces. Pierce never stayed long enough to belong. He learned to keep quiet, to observe, to survive. He was always the new kid, always the outsider. Teachers noticed something in him. He was bright but withdrawn, always looking out the window, never quite present. Then everything changed in 1964. At age 11, he moved to Greystones, Scotland. His mother had remarried. Her new husband, William Carmichael, worked in a factory. He was kind and patient. But for a boy who had grown up without consistency, this new home brought mixed emotions. Pierce felt torn. He was happy to see his mother again, but angry too. And now she had someone else, a new man in her life, a man who wasn't his father. Still, William tried. He taught Pierce small things, fishing, fixing things, how to trust again. He never pushed too hard. He never tried to replace anyone. One day, William took Pierce to the cinema. It was 1964, and the movie was Goldfinger. Sean Connery as James Bond lit up the screen. That night changed everything. Bond wasn't just a character to Pierce. He was the opposite of everything Pierce had felt. Bond was strong. Bond was confident. Bond was in control. And Pierce wanted to be just like that. By age 16, Pierce made another bold move. He dropped out of school in London and enrolled in St. Martin's School of Art. He didn't have money or a clear plan, just a passion for painting. He loved the work of Francis Bacon and Lucian Freud. Back then, acting wasn't even on his mind. His focus was illustration and design. He survived on toast and tea, while his classmates came from wealthier homes. He was determined to prove he belonged, but fate had other plans. In 1971, while still studying art, Pierce stumbled into a theater workshop in South London. He saw a fire eater practicing his act. Instead of walking away, Pierce asked if he could try. That one spontaneous moment rewrote his future. The group noticed something in him, a mix of bravery and natural presence. They invited him to join. He had never acted before, but now everything started to click. Just like Bond, he had entered a world of risk and charm. Soon after, Pierce joined the Drama Centre London for 3 years, from 1973 to 1976. He trained harder than ever before. The school was intense. More than 60% of students dropped out. The teachers were tough. They broke students down to rebuild them. Some quit. Some had breakdowns. But Pierce pushed through. He worked side jobs. He studied Shakespeare. He even trained in mime and circus acts. It cost £1,200 a year, a fortune back then. But Pierce never gave up. In 1976, he got his first real break in a stage play called Wait Until Dark. It was a thriller, and Pierce played a character that made people uncomfortable. The director saw something cold in him, something unsettling. That edge worked. A year later, He took on a bold role in a difficult Tennessee Williams play, The Red Devil Battery Sign. The play had flopped in America, but Pierce brought it to life in London. Critics praised his performance. Suddenly, people were noticing. He moved to film next. In 1980, he had a blink-and-you-miss-it role in The Mirror Cracked alongside Elizabeth Taylor. He was on screen for less than 30 seconds. He earned just £50, but it was a start. That same year, he appeared in The Long Good Friday with Helen Mirren and Bob Hoskins. He played a minor IRA character. The movie wasn't a hit right away, but over time it became a cult classic. And there Pierce was, quietly building his path to stardom. In 1982, Pierce Brosnan was barely known outside of the UK. He had done some British TV and theater work, but nothing major. Then something unexpected happened. He auditioned for a small role on a new show called Remington, Steele. Not as the lead, but as a murder victim. That could have been it. One scene and done. But NBC's casting director saw something in him. They saw charm, screen presence, something magnetic. So they called him back, not for a minor part, but for the lead role. That decision changed everything. The original plan for Remington Steele was a seasoned American con man in his 50s. Brosnan was 29, young, Irish, and unknown in the United States. Still, the producers took a gamble. Over 200 actors auditioned, many of them well-known Americans. Brosnan got the role. His Irish accent almost cost him the part. Executives feared American viewers wouldn't accept a foreign lead. But once he stepped into the role, he was Remington Steele. Cool, smooth, mysterious. And audiences loved him for it. The show premiered on October 1st, 1982. Right out of the gate, it was a hit. NBC's second highest-rated new series. In its first year alone, 15.6 million people tuned in each week. But it wasn't a smooth ride. The show was canceled after its fourth season in 1986. Fans were furious. The studio changed its mind. It came back for one last run. The final episode aired in February 1987 and drew nearly 26 million viewers. At its peak, Remington Steele was making NBC over $50 million a year just from advertising. International sales added another $200 million. The show aired in more than 80 countries. And something strange happened in America. Between 1983 and 1987, applications for private detective licenses jumped by 340%. Brosnan's cool, clever character had clearly struck a nerve. Only 2 months after the show started airing, critics were already saying Brosnan should be the next James Bond. In January 1983, Entertainment Weekly called him the most Bond-like actor since Sean Connery. Just a few months later, Bond producer Albert Cubby Broccoli reached out. He was watching, and he was interested. By 1984, the speculation exploded. NBC leaned into it. Their marketing hinted at Brosnan's secret agent vibe. TV Guide ran a cover with him asking, "The next 007?" Even Ian Fleming's widow, Anne Fleming, publicly said that Brosnan looked and acted exactly like what her husband had envisioned for Bond. Most people think he was first offered Bond in 1985. Not true. He was actually considered for the role in 1983 for A View to a Kill. Roger Moore was unsure about doing another film, and Brosnan was on deck. He'd met Broccoli on the set of For Your Eyes Only, where Brosnan's wife, Cassandra Harris, had a small role. Broccoli took one look at him and said, "If he can act, he's my guy." But the studio panicked. They offered Moore a huge payday, over $3.5 million, to return, so Brosnan's shot was delayed. Then in 1986, something even worse happened. Remington Steele had been canceled. But when word got out that Brosnan might be the next Bond, the show's ratings surged. NBC saw a chance. They reversed the cancellation and ordered a short 5th season. Brosnan was still under contract. That meant he couldn't film Bond. It was brutal. The attention he got from being linked to Bond was used against him. He was stuck. And while he finished the final season of Remington Steele, Bond producers moved on. Timothy Dalton got the role. Losing the role hurt, but he had to smile through it. Dalton's version of Bond was darker, grittier. It didn't go well. License to Kill flopped in the United States, making just $34 million. Brosnan